6 months after Violet's disappearance, in October 2023, a metal detectorist named Jake Morrison found something buried in Hollow Creek Woods, a waterproof container holding what appeared to be Violet's leather journal. The journal contained botanical sketches, notes about various Oregon plants, and what appeared to be evidence of Dr. Breyer's illegal activities. But this journal was actually a complete fabrication. Marcus had purchased an identical journal and spent weeks practicing Violet's handwriting and artistic style. What made Marcus's frame-up so diabolical was how he'd chosen Dr. Breyer as his target. The two men had never met, but Marcus had investigated an insurance claim at the Greenleaf Conservatory 2 years earlier, a minor property damage case involving storm damage to their greenhouse. During that investigation, Marcus had learned about Breyer's past. The doctor had been falsely accused of plant trafficking in 2020 by a disgruntled former employee, though charges were dropped when the accusations proved fabricated. Marcus saw this as the perfect setup, a man who'd already been suspected of botanical crimes. Dr. Calvin Breyer was completely innocent, a respected botanist who dedicated his life to plant conservation. He had no connection to Violet beyond the fake commission emails Marcus had sent using a spoofed email address. The evidence found on his property had all been planted by Marcus during carefully planned nighttime visits over several weeks. The Violet Lane Mystery 25-minute documentary script, 2023. In April of 2023, in the quiet town of Marlowe, Oregon, a young woman's life was about to be cut tragically short. Her name was Violet Lane, and what happened to her would shock this small community to its core. But the truth, the real truth, would be revealed by something her killer never saw coming: his own smartwatch. Violet Marie Lane was 26 years old, a talented botanical illustrator who'd built a thriving Instagram following showcasing her delicate watercolor paintings of native Oregon flora. Her account, at Violet Sketches Nature, had over 50,000 followers who loved her gentle tutorials and nature photography. She lived in a charming cottage on Elm Street with her husband of 3 years, Marcus Lane, a successful insurance investigator for Pacific Coast Insurance who specialized in digital fraud cases. Ironically, his expertise in catching insurance scammers would later become his downfall. To everyone who knew them, Marcus and Violet appeared to be the modern perfect couple. Their joint Instagram account showed romantic hiking trips, cozy coffee dates, and Marcus's proud posts about his amazing artist wife. But as we'll discover, social media lies can be deadly. On the morning of April 15, 2023, Violet posted what would be her final Instagram story: a photo of her morning coffee with the caption, "Off to the Greenleaf Conservatory for a big project. Can't wait to share what I'm working on." She kissed her husband goodbye, grabbed her camera bag and art supplies, and headed out in her white Tesla Model 3, a car equipped with more tracking technology than she or her husband realized. Dr. Calvin Breyer, the conservatory's director, had commissioned Violet to create digital illustrations for their new app. It was her biggest commercial project yet, worth $15,000. Violet Lane would never complete that project. She would never come home, and the digital breadcrumbs she left behind would ultimately solve her own murder. When Violet failed to return home that evening, Marcus seemed genuinely panicked. His Ring doorbell camera captured him packing on the front porch at 9 p.m., making frantic phone calls. His voice messages to Violet's phone, later recovered by police, sounded desperate. "Babe, where are you? I'm worried sick. Please call me back." He posted on their joint Instagram account at 10:47 p.m. "Has anyone seen Violet? She went to Greenleaf Conservatory this morning and hasn't come home. Please share. Find Violet Marlowe missing." The post went viral locally, garnering hundreds of shares and concerned comments from Violet's online community. The next morning, Violet's Tesla was found by a jogger at Hollow Creek Trailhead, about 12 miles from the conservatory. The car's location data showed it had been parked there at 11:43 a.m. the previous day. Inside, everything appeared normal. Her phone was plugged into the charger, her camera bag sat in the passenger seat, and her reusable water bottle was half full. The car's internal cameras had been manually disabled, something that required specific technical knowledge. But there was no sign of Violet. Detective Sarah Kim, a digital forensics specialist with the Oregon State Police, immediately began analyzing Violet's digital footprint. What she found was puzzling. Violet's phone showed she'd been at the trailhead location, but there was no GPS data showing how she'd gotten there from the conservatory. The Tesla's navigation system had been cleared, and the car's internal trip computer had been reset, both actions requiring the owner's Tesla app credentials. Most strangely, Violet had never actually arrived at the Greenleaf Conservatory. Dr. Breyer's security cameras showed no sign of her, and the conservatory's visitor log confirmed she'd never checked in. Marcus Lane's initial alibi seemed unshakable. His work computer showed him logged into Pacific Coast Insurance's VPN from 8:30 a.m. until 6:15 p.m. His Microsoft Teams status showed him active throughout the day, participating in video calls and responding to messages. His iPhone location data placed him at his downtown Portland office continuously from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. His building's keycard records confirmed his arrival and departure times. He'd even posted Instagram stories throughout the day. A photo of his desk at 10 a.m., a picture of his lunch at 1 p.m., a screenshot of a work report at 4 p.m. To investigators using traditional methods, Marcus Lane appeared to have a digital alibi that was impossible to fake. As days turned to weeks, the investigation began to focus on Dr. Calvin Breyer. Social media sleuths had discovered that Breyer had been investigated 3 years earlier for allegedly smuggling rare plant specimens from protected lands, charges that were eventually dropped due to lack of evidence. Reddit threads and Facebook groups dedicated to finding Violet began building a case against Breyer. Anonymous tips poured in, claiming he'd been acting suspicious and had a history of inappropriate behavior with female contractors. The digital mob was convinced they'd found their killer. What made Marcus's frame-up so diabolical was how he'd chosen Dr. Breyer as his target. The two men had never met, but Marcus had investigated an insurance claim at the Greenleaf Conservatory 2 years earlier, a minor property damage case involving storm damage to their greenhouse. During that investigation, Marcus had learned about Breyer's past. The doctor had been falsely accused of plant trafficking in 2020 by a disgruntled former employee, though charges were dropped when the accusations proved fabricated. Marcus saw this as the perfect setup, a man who'd already been suspected of botanical crimes. Dr. Calvin Breyer was completely innocent, a respected botanist who dedicated his life to plant conservation. He had no connection to Violet beyond the fake commission emails Marcus had sent using a spoofed email address. The evidence found on his property had all been planted by Marcus during carefully planned nighttime visits over several weeks. The final entry, dated April 14th, the day before her disappearance, read, "I can't believe what I discovered at the conservatory today. Dr. Breyer is definitely involved in illegal plant trafficking. I have photos on my phone as evidence. If something happens to me, it's because I know too much. The truth is in the greenhouse. VL." Below this entry was a detailed sketch of Dr. Calvin Breyer, along with what appeared to be GPS coordinates pointing to a location on his property. Armed with this evidence, police obtained a warrant for Breyer's property. In a hidden greenhouse, they found rare botanical specimens and what appeared to be a makeshift burial site containing human remains later identified through DNA analysis as Violet Lane. Dr. Calvin Breyer was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. The case seemed solved. The internet declared victory. Justice for Violet trended on Twitter. But Detective Kim wasn't satisfied. Something about the digital evidence bothered her. While Dr. Breyer sat in jail awaiting trial, Detective Kim continued analyzing the digital evidence. She was particularly intrigued by Marcus Lane's seemingly perfect alibi. It was almost too perfect for someone whose wife had just vanished. Her breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Marcus's Apple Watch. Marcus had been wearing his Apple Watch Series 8 on the day of Violet's disappearance, a device that continuously monitors heart rate, movement patterns, and location with GPS accuracy down to within a few meters. While Marcus's iPhone showed him at his office all day, his Apple Watch told a very different story. The watch data, which synced to Apple's servers independently of his phone, showed something extraordinary. Marcus had experienced a significant spike in heart rate and stress levels at 11:30 a.m., exactly 13 minutes before Violet's Tesla appeared at Hollow Creek Trailhead. More damning, the watch's GPS data showed Marcus had traveled from his office to the Hollow Creek area and back, despite his phone showing he'd remained at work. Detective Kim realized that Marcus had used his expertise in digital fraud to create a fake alibi. He'd left his iPhone at his office, connected to the company's Wi-Fi, with automated scripts running to make it appear he was actively working. Meanwhile, he'd driven to meet Violet at Hollow Creek, wearing only his Apple Watch. A device he'd forgotten would independently track his location and biometric data. But the most brilliant part of Kim's investigation was yet to come. Tesla vehicles continuously upload data to Tesla's servers, including precise location tracking, acceleration patterns, and even cabin camera footage. While Marcus had disabled the car's internal cameras and cleared the navigation system, he couldn't access Tesla's cloud servers. Detective Kim obtained a warrant for Tesla's data and discovered something shocking. Violet's car had made an unexplained stop at a storage unit facility between the conservatory and Hollow Creek, a facility where Marcus had rented a unit 3 months earlier under his company's name. Security footage from the storage facility showed Marcus's Honda Civic arriving at the same time as Violet's Tesla, with Marcus transferring something large from the Tesla to his storage unit. Further investigation revealed Marcus's desperate financial situation. Despite his successful career, he'd been secretly day trading cryptocurrency and had lost over $200,000, money borrowed against their home and taken from their joint savings account without Violet's knowledge. He'd also discovered that Violet was planning to leave him. Her Google search history recovered from her account showed searches for divorce lawyers Portland, how to protect assets in divorce, and signs of financial abuse. Most damning of all, Marcus had increased Violet's life insurance policy to $1.2 million just 4 months before her disappearance, telling the insurance company he wanted to protect their future together. The investigation revealed Marcus's cold-blooded plan and execution. He'd created the fake Conservatory Commission, using his knowledge of digital fraud to create convincing emails from a spoofed Dr. Breyer account. He'd researched Dr. Breyer extensively. The conservatory director had no idea he was being used as a patsy until his arrest. Marcus lured Violet to Hollow Creek under the pretense of photographing rare wildflowers for her big project. When she arrived at the secluded trailhead, excited about her commission, Marcus was waiting. Security footage from a nearby trail camera discovered months later captured the horrific truth. Marcus had strangled Violet with a climbing rope as she bent down to photograph what she thought were rare orchids. The murder was calculated, personal, and brutal. He'd researched strangulation methods online, believing it would be harder to trace than poison or other methods. After killing his wife, he'd loaded her body into his storage unit, then drove her Tesla to the trailhead to stage the scene. He'd planted her body on Dr. Breyer's remote property weeks later and fabricated the journal entries using Violet's art supplies, which he'd practiced imitating for weeks using YouTube tutorials. The storage unit contained Violet's camera equipment, her real journal, which contained only innocent botanical sketches and personal thoughts, the climbing rope used to strangle her, and most shockingly, a detailed timeline Marcus had written planning every aspect of the murder and frame-up. Marcus had even kept practice journals, where he'd spent hours perfecting Violet's handwriting and drawing style, using her social media posts as reference. He'd researched Dr. Breyer obsessively, creating an entire fictional narrative about illegal plant trafficking that he could use to frame the innocent botanist. The final nail in Marcus's coffin came from his own encrypted cloud storage. Thinking he was secure behind multiple layers of digital protection, Marcus had kept detailed notes about his plan, including practice attempts at forging Violet's handwriting and research into Dr. Breyer's background. He'd even saved screenshots of his fake work activity, and had been planning to discover additional evidence against Breyer if needed. When confronted with the overwhelming digital evidence in February 2024, Marcus Lane finally confessed. The man who'd fooled traditional investigators with his digital alibi had been betrayed by the very technology he thought he controlled. Marcus Lane was sentenced to life in prison without parole in August 2024. Dr. Calvin Breyer, who had spent 8 months in jail for a crime he didn't commit, was fully exonerated and received a public apology from the Oregon State Police. The case revolutionized digital forensics training across the country, with Detective Kim's techniques now taught in police academies nationwide. The storage unit, when fully searched, also revealed Marcus's contingency plans. He'd been prepared to frame several other people if the Breyer setup had failed. Violet Lane's Instagram account has been memorialized, with over 200,000 followers now following her botanical illustrations. Her final post, that cheerful photo of her morning coffee, remains pinned, with thousands of comments from people around the world who were touched by her story. Her family established the Violet Lane Digital Safety Foundation, which educates people about digital privacy and the hidden dangers of location tracking technology. The case of Violet Lane reminds us that in our connected world, we're never truly alone. Our devices are always watching, always recording, always remembering. Sometimes that constant surveillance is terrifying. But sometimes it's exactly what we need to find justice. In a cruel irony, Marcus Lane, the insurance fraud investigator who'd spent years catching people trying to fake their own deaths for money, had become exactly the kind of criminal he'd built his career fighting against. The hunter had become the hunted, and technology had been both his weapon and his downfall. If this case shocked you as much as it shocked us, please hit that like button and subscribe for more true crime stories that'll keep you up at night. Your support helps us bring these important stories to light and ensures that victims are never forgotten. Share this video with anyone who's fascinated by how modern technology can solve the most complex crimes. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest investigations. We want to hear from our incredible community. Drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from around the world. Are you team technology is terrifying or team thank goodness for digital evidence? Whether you're watching from New York, London, Tokyo, or anywhere in between, you're part of our true crime family, and we love connecting with viewers from every corner of the globe. Until next time, stay safe out there and remember, in our digital world, someone is always watching. Sometimes that's scary, and sometimes it's exactly what brings justice to those who can no longer speak for themselves.